Finally tonight, a new study found kids born in August may be more likely to be diagnosed with ADHD, and Sean Franklin explains why.
Diagnosing ADHD in kids can be difficult for doctors.
It's really more difficult than just, is this kid antsy or hyperactive?
The Journal of the American Medical Association reports the disorder has nearly doubled in children over the last decade, and 2016 numbers from the CDC show it affects nearly 6 million U.S. children. A new study published in the New England Journal of Medicine examined insurance data to track several 100,000 children diagnosed with ADHD. It concluded diagnosis and treatment rates were 34% higher among children born in August than in children born in September in certain states. The authors said teachers or parents might see inattentive behavior among younger, August-born children and mistake that for the symptoms of ADHD. Their point: the diagnosis is subjective.
A lot of things in medicine are subjective. It's not just ADHD.
Dr. Debbie Christensen is a developmental behavioral pediatrician at East Tennessee Children's Hospital. She says the study has good points, but should be taken with full context.
I think it brings to light the fact that we just need to be very careful when we make a diagnosis. You need to look at lots of things and take lots of things into consideration, and you don't need to rush to make a diagnosis.
Dr. Robert Devereaux is a psychologist at ThriveWorks in Knoxville. He says the study shows parents should consider holding their children back in school if they're born close to the age cutoff. In Tennessee, a child has to be 5 years old on or before August 15th.
Being more considerate of that may be really helpful. Instead of just jumping the gun because all of their friends are starting school, they may just simply not be ready.
In Knoxville, Sean Franklin, 10 News.
Dr. Christensen says testing can be time-consuming, but encouraged parents to make sure they do what they can do to get the right diagnosis.
We appreciate